very good afternoon. Today we have with us Dr. Vedprakash Mishra, the Pro Chancellor and Chief Advisor for Datta Meghe Institute of Medical Sciences, Varda. Everyone in Maharashtra as well as in India knows the Datta Meghe group of institutions. Thank you so much, sir, for joining with us today and giving us the pleasure to have this interview. So, starting with the first question, sir. Being the Pro Chancellor and Chief Advisor for DMIMS, what is your philosophy of leadership and how would you describe your leadership style?
Basically, leadership in my understanding, and one which I have been able to incorporate in my entire dispensation in the educational profile for almost 4 decades, is it must be a first person leadership. If you really ask me, I am tempted to derive the entire contours of leadership out of a small little parable which has been put across by Chanakya some 3,000 years back, when he said, a leader is one who knows the way, who goes the way, and then only shows the way, unquote. And I think these 3 things speak voluminously in its entire gamut. You ought to know the way. But then only knowing the way is not enough. You should be in a position to go the way. And then only you will be in a position to show the way. Therefore, the leadership style which I personally feel which is paramount and which perhaps ought to be the one which is badly needed in any educational situation and setup is that it should be by example rather than precept. So first person leadership by setting your own example. Example is better than precept. The famous English saying, according to me, says it all. And it is this trinity which I have tried to imbibe in whatever little way it was possible for me. And really, I am grateful to Almighty. It has paved me absolute successes on all counts. In all humility, I can state.
That's great to hear, sir. You want to always lead by example, be the first person in the group to be lead an example and show everyone the path to follow. And you have been doing that for about 40 years now, so which is a great example for all of us to be part here. Coming to the next question, sir, how does the curriculum of DMIMS ensure the best practice in the industry of medical sciences and education in general?
Basically, see, I have always advocated and perhaps on the scientific tenets of educational technology. Look, I had the fortune of being chairman of the Academic Council of Medical Council of India for 3 terms, 15 years. And my association with Medical Council of India has been for last 35 years. I had the fortune of heading that academic council which totally structured, formulated and laid down the competency-based medical education which has been put into operation as a perhaps hugest possible revolution in the country in the domain of medical education. Look, curriculum making and curriculum design is neither an accident nor an aberration. It's a scientific approach. And therefore, when we talk of curriculum, there are 4 important things which we need to keep in mind. A curriculum has to be totally contemporary to the objectives and commensurate with the learning objectives that you have set out. Therefore, program objectives. It is the program objectives which set the pace for curriculum design. This curriculum design is expected to be therefore totally not only be commensurate with the program objectives, linked with that the course outcomes need to be identified. And the specific learning objectives there too, it has to be worked out. Keeping in mind that there are certain cardinal principles which go to structure and formulate the curriculum. A curriculum must be unitized. It must be linked with appropriate weightage allocation. That weightage allocation should be worked out in terms of identified competencies in order to make it competency-based. It should be matched with corresponding tools and techniques and approaches of teaching and learning. And it should be linked with commensurate modes of assessment. It is this entire gamut which makes the curriculum relevant, and simultaneously curriculum has to be periodically updated. because it has to keep pace with the entire situational development. Otherwise, I am tempted to quote a very historical sentence which has been put across by educationist Dr. Sethu Raman when he says, students of today are being taught by the teachers with the curriculum of yesterday for making them prepared for tomorrow. Which is absolutely irrelevant, which is absolutely absurd. Therefore, it is the periodic update of the curriculum which is not only to be keeping in mind the contemporary requirements, but also the long-term and futurist requirements, keeping into consideration the trends. And the most important part is linking it with the technological advancement that is taking place in such a huge manner. Incorporation of information and communication technology into the entire structuring of the curriculum, and more so now, a hybrid approach. The COVID has really taught us that curriculums have to be structured, including the modalities of teaching, where the traditional format perhaps turned out to be redundant now. And it has definitely opened eyes of all educationists across the world that we need to work out a hybrid model. And I am happy to put across to you that in my university, through the educational unit, we have tried to work out not only the learning management system being put into place, but we have worked out a curriculum which we have titled as, quote, high tech and high touch model, which is a hybrid model, balancing both virtual modality as well as the on-site modality, perhaps in the required proportion. And lastly, when I want to put across, curriculum design in this country, unfortunately, has been worked out by people only on the basis of experiences. No, it is not enough. It is imperative. It is imperative that we need to keep in mind that if we want evidence-based profession, we should have evidence-based education. And therefore, it is evidence-based update of the curriculum, which turns out to be a mandatory requirement, keeping in mind that the update must always be based on the important aspect of ensuring that we are in a position to get the required feedback from all the stakeholders, and that feedback analysis is taken as an important parameter for curriculum design. I have set this modality through a Center of Excellence, School of Health Profession Education and Research in the university, which is the mother repository on all aspects of educational technology, curriculum design, teaching and learning methods, assessment process, including educational research and evaluation of the educational program as a whole.
Sir, you said you have been the council member for about 15 years, being the chairman of the council for 15 years. So do you think India can lay more stress on research than like the structured curriculum which we are following? Like it is like up to the mark, like better than the foreign countries, we can say, because the quality of doctors that India is currently producing is way much better than the doctors that are like studying in foreign universities or countries. So do you think for the research purpose we can improve a bit?
Look, basically we need to understand one thing. The relevance of Indian doctors abroad, and practically the name that Indian doctors have been able to make and the impression that they have been able to make a difference to the entire healthcare delivery system in the globe, is primarily because of the huge set of clinical skills which is abundantly worked up in the entire domain of medical education. The nature of the clinical material, I distinctly remember year 2009 when I was leader of the Indian delegation before the United States of America Accreditation Board, seeking parity of the standards for Indian medical education for the accreditation by them. And I was arguing the case for India on behalf of the Medical Council of India, clarifying that 15 years I was the chairman of the Academic Council of the Medical Council of India. Therefore, the entire academic affairs of the council or the academic contribution of the council, it was under my stewardship and to my team that it came to be worked out. The chairman of the accreditation board asked me one concluding question. Well, Dr. Mishra, would you mind telling one special feature in your Indian system of medical education which is unique to the world? And I was very emphatically in saying, my undergraduate learner, including the period of internship, the number of patients and the variety of clinical material to which he or she is exposed for teaching and training is several times more than a doctor in his life capable of seeing in your country. And believe me, that creates the issue. Our exposure to clinical material is so huge that
So diverse.
clinical skill dominates. But you are very right in pointing out. We have never been able to emphasize the importance of research and inculcation of research skills in our learners. It is tragic that we are not even able to convert our 2% clinical data into research output and research outcome. But then, as the chairman of the Postgraduate Medical Education Committee of Medical Council of India, I ventured into a regulatory frame wherein I said every postgraduate student in the country during a period of 3 years of his or her study will be required to present a scientific poster in year 1, a research presentation in year 2, and it will be binding for him to produce a research publication out of his thesis in an index peer-reviewed journal as a part of eligibility to appear for the examination. And I'm so very happy to put across that this particular regulatory frame of mine, it definitely has gone several miles in strengthening the research potential of the postgraduate learners, including research skills in the postgraduate learners, and also the quality of the research which is undertaken as a part of postgraduate study across the country. We have to emphasize, and now the time has come that we should be in a position to incorporate research skills in the undergraduate curriculum itself. Again, I'm happy to share with you the ICMR STS college, the recognition which is put across by them for the purposes of undergraduate research. If I share that my university learners of undergraduate, they have been able to, out of the total allocation in the last year by ICMR and STS projects, I was the single largest university with begging 9% of the entire recognitions or the numerical strength for the learners of my university. And therefore, emphasis in terms of structured inculcation, structured consolidation, structured nurturing, and working an ambience for them, and putting that linking with assessment, because learning has to be assessment driven. Then only it will be of consequence, otherwise it will be casual and cavalier. Therefore, concerted efforts within the curriculum itself need to be incorporated for the purposes of enunciating and consolidating research skill in the learner. That is my take, which I would like to put across with whatever little understanding at my disposal.
No, sir, it was a very great answer. You went into the details of the question, and we are very happy that someone of your stature is ready to go into the details and talk to us with the details. So it is great to hear that. So, keeping in mind the COVID, how are the plans change of the institute for the coming 10 years or 5 to 10 years in the coming future? What can we see coming from the institutes like yours, big institutes specifically, and also the council in general, medical council, be it any other education council in India, and for the students as well as for the faculties, what can we see in the future?
Look, COVID really has taken the entire educational profile with a huge jolt, as it has taken every sphere of life. But let us be very fair and honest to any and every situation. No adversity comes without an opportunity. There is an opportunity which is built in every adversity, and COVID is no exception. Is it not a fact that compulsions of COVID opened the total vistas of virtual modality of education in every sphere, in every domain of operation? Perhaps the thing which we were never used to, and we were absolutely thinking that virtual learning is a below standard modality of learning, turned out to be the real way of learning. And therefore, the first message which I am wanting to put across, on which we have worked, is we are saying that time has come when we need to work out the future of medical education in a hybrid mode. We need to structure the entire curriculum which could be dealt on virtual mode, and that which will be required to be done in on-site mode. The advanced skill labs, the simulation approaches, the virtual reality learning management systems, the use of standardized patients, the use of mannequins, the use of absolutely videograph situations mimicking the real life settings. All this has come to stay as a part of your regular teaching and learning, and it has been worked out with novelty. The real issue is that there is not only a digital divide which is geographical in character. The digital divide is between the learner and the teacher and the mentor as well. Your generation absolutely is born with a gadget in your hand and you are able to play with it. But an aged man like me is required to be learning on it. And therefore, the digital divide is huge. It is in that context that the technological skills of the faculty through capsulated program to deal with this particular aspect of education is something which should be incorporated as a part of capacity building for faculty on technical skills, matching the requirement of the learner, and then being capable of dealing with the entire gamut of high-tech and high-touch model of education. Number one. Having said so, it is imperative that even in the context of healthcare delivery, COVID has given certain vital clues which we need to pick up in time. Disaster management and epidemic management. These are the two messages which are very large on the face of it. And I'm very happy to share with you. In a communication, explicit citing reasons, modalities, structure, eligibility, syllabus and everything, I have proposed to the competent authorities in the Government of India that we need to have a MD program in epidemic management and surveillance so that we are able to prepare the technically trained exclusive manpower on that particular count. And there is a huge degree of manpower creation on that particular count. And I am happy that the said suggestion has been accepted and there is already a move which is being worked on it. I am equally here to compliment the National Medical Commission, which has incorporated the epidemic management topics in the undergraduate curriculum also. And a capsulated learning mode has been worked on that count. And the third important aspect is the research part of it. COVID has given a huge opportunity of working out huge quantum of research that is needed. And I'm happy to share with you, recently, the global statistics have come out. The number of publications, scientific publications in the domain of medical sciences, in the COVID 18 months, India has ranked 5th in the world ranking. United States of America with 23,000 and odd publications is topping the world, followed by China, followed by Italy, United Kingdom, and we are 5th with something like 6,300 and odd publications. And I'm happy to share these 6,300 and odd publications which have come from 23 institutions in the country, including ICMR, of which 7 are public funded agencies and 16 or 17 are unaided or private funded agencies. In the ranking in terms of contribution, AIMS with 609 or 10 publications is number 1. PGI Chandigarh with 300 and odd publication is number 2. Savita with 148 publication is number 3. And Mayur University with 138 publication is number 4 in the country in contributors, and in which a systematic review on radiographic findings in the COVID is also a publication which is in one of the leading international journals that comes as a contribution, as against ICMR, whose contribution has been 98 publications. So in all the areas, we need to avail this opportunity for bringing out suitable, matchable alterations, taking cues, producing the epidemic management and surveillance manpower in a structured manner, and availing the research findings, which will not only be in the domain of only observed findings, but predictive findings, which should be in a position to be of consequence to the healthcare delivery system, is a loud message which one needs to pick up. And educational institutions, including the leading health sciences universities, have played a significant role, and they need to play still a vital role on that particular count.
So it was very great to hear that you thought of giving the programs. Sir, I think my voice is echoing. Hello. Yeah. Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. Actually, I think my voice is getting echoed. So it is great to hear that you have the given suggestions for the new programs you want on the epidemic part for BTech as well as MTech are accepted, and it is very necessary in the times of the COVID as well as for the coming future. to give such ideas, and it was very good on the part of the commissions and councils that they have accepted this idea and are working on the program like you have suggested. So coming to the next question, sir, when you first came to DMIMS, what was your vision for the institute? You have already worked in the council for about 15 years, and then coming to DMIMS, such a big university. What was your vision for the institute, and how far have you come in implementing that?
Look, as a matter of fact, our university came to be notified by the University Grants Commission on by the Ministry of Human Resource Development then on the recommendations of UGC as a deemed university in the month of May 2005. So frankly speaking, the university is about in its 16th year of existence. And I had the fortune of heading the university as the first Vice Chancellor of the university. So I took over as the first Vice Chancellor. And therefore, I am a witness to the entire developmental profile of the university since its inception in May 2005. As far as the vision which I harbored, absolutely was on two counts. We were located in a semi-urban location at Wardha, which is our primary campus. Now that we have been granted an off-campus at Nagpur, that is much later. But we basically started functioning from our premier campus at Wardha. And therefore, it is a semi-urban location where we are located. In our vicinity, we already have a leading medical college, Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Medical Sciences, run by the Kasturba Health Society, which is a very reputed institution, and all of us know. My vision on the counts was two. Number one, education has to be quality-centric. And therefore, any and every venture which goes to incorporate quality centricity in the trinity of quality enhancement, quality enrichment, and quality sustenance, generating a quality catering educational culture. And number two, contributing to generation of trained health manpower so that it is capable of catering to the cause of effective healthcare delivery, rural and urban, both in nature and character. So it was on these two twin objectives that we worked on. And I can share with you that perhaps a notable event which I was able to create in the life of the university was that in the year 2007, within 2 years of the existence of the university, I ventured into seeking accreditation by NAC. And in my maiden attempt, within 2 years of the existence of the university, in all humility, let me put across that university was accredited with A grade with 86% score against 7-point scale, which was operational then. 2009, we were approved by the Ministry of the HRD Government of India as A grade university. 2012, we came to be re-accredited in the second cycle. We maintained our A grade. 2017, we got our third cycle of re-accreditation. Now we are A plus university, getting all the benefits of autonomy in the precincts of autonomy regulation. And now that particular accreditation of A plus grade holds true to us for a period of 7 years from 2017 till 2024. So what I'm trying to put across is that practically working out any and every essence of quality centricity has been my hallmark, has been my commitment, and I try to uphold that. And it is never person-centric. It has to be system-centric. People will come and go, but if you establish the systems, they will be catering, because individual is always having a lesser span than the institution. Therefore, it is never a person-centric approach which will be long-lasting. It shall be system-based approach, and my emphasis has always been on the same, which has realistically paid dividends in a very huge manner.
So it is very well said. Hearing this, I remember a quote by some famous member of parliament, that is people saying, him saying, "Sarkari आएंगी, सरकारी जाएंगी, लेकिन ये देश रहना चाहिए." It is a very famous quote that it should be a system-centric approach and not a person-centric approach from this, be it on every level, be it a school, be it a college, be it a society, be it government. So the approach should always be system-centric, which is very great to hear that. Also, sir, you said that you have got autonomous badge for this. And what facilities, like extra facilities, do you get on being an autonomous institute that you won't get just an accredited university or accredited institute?
In 2018, University Grants Commission came out with a policy document through the form of a regulation, which they called as Regulations on Autonomy Conferred to the Institutions of Higher Education. And in that autonomy, there is a graded autonomy. A plus institutions, A double plus institutions, they are bracketed that they will be entitled to have off campuses. You can have 5 off campuses, including offshore campuses, number 1. Number 2, you can add to the educational programs without the requirement of prior permission, and therefore you become autonomous. You can
modify the programs.
You can broaden the scope of the programs. You are entitled to the entire frame of academic autonomy, which otherwise is not there except within the regulatory frame which is put across by parallel regulatory bodies. That is the third important aspect. Number 4, you can have centers of excellence under your belt, and therefore all advanced areas and emerging areas that you want to cater to, they can be housed in the form of centers of excellence, which I can share with you that after the autonomy, today I am able to create almost 15 centers of excellence within the ambit of the university, and that is primarily possible because of the autonomy. Now the entitlement for online and ODL mechanisms have also been vested with the autonomous under the regulation of the autonomy, and therefore there is a huge scope for you to broaden your operation by virtue of that autonomy, where the decision making becomes almost monolithic, and hence the expansion becomes very easy and handy. And availing that, now the university has worked out a perspective development program up to 2035, including aligning it with the national education policy on the important considerations of internationalization of education, on the principle of academic credit banking, and also on the simultaneous principle of not only academic credit banking, but providing for collateral exits, multiple exits and collateral entry, which has been the hallmark there too. I can share you with all humility that all other educational programs which are outside the ambit of the regulatory authorities, we have ventured into 3 important considerations. 1, they are all credit-based programs. B, they are all programs in which apprenticeship is inbuilt into the program. Apprenticeship / internship inbuilt program. We have provided lateral exits and collateral entries in the said programs. And lastly, now we have worked out also with the academic credit bank at the level of the university in tune with the national education policy document for our university, so that we will be in a position to take up the diligent steps in the internationalization of the education as well.
That's great to hear, sir. What are the things you know about institute that the student looking for studying in a university may not get to know from like your website or any other place? What are such things that they may not know?
Practically, what you are in a position to bring out in any capsulated information form is your achievements. Basically, one must realize that outcomes are depicted, not the operations. But please try to remember, your laudable objectives can be converted into outcome only in case your operations are diligently built. It is a triple O modality which I always harbor uppermost in my mind. Objectives, operations, and outcome. Our objectives are defined. Our outcome is desired. Until and unless your operations are robust, and you have no place to depict your operations anywhere in public domain, because they are operations which are there systematically taking place. It is almost like operations are like roots which are buried into the soil, catering everything, but they are not visible. And what is visible is only a blooming flower which you see. Yes. Then what is going in making of that flower in terms of the operations which are deeply buried remains unsung and remains unwept for. Therefore, I truly believe that the operations, the systems, these are the ones which must be equally brought into the knowledge and notice of the relevant stakeholders, so that the veracity on that particular count also turns out to be a tempting factor or a factor which should be taken note of by the prospective bidders. When I say healthy practices at times can also be aberrations. But when we talk of systematicity in operation, it means every bit of operation being streamlined, absolutely syntax, free-flowing, which would result in optimization of your outcome. Therefore, it is the operation depiction which is lacking in the present frame for every higher educational institution.
So coming to the next question, what do you see the biggest challenges for higher education, as you have been in the industry for education sector for about 40 years, and for as well as for DMIMS in specific?
See, look, challenges for higher education I view in the two important contexts. Challenges pertaining to the policy frame is an important area which really is a matter of concern. And number two, now aligning of the entire educational system with the national education policy document and the various inclusion there too. This turns out to be a serious challenge because two important shifts that national education policy has put across before all education, but I will be limiting myself to health professional education and especially medical education, is making it multidisciplinary in character. Number one. Now this is a challenge. Because if you look at the entire pace and trend of health professional education, beginning from Flexner's report of 1910 and come down to 2010 Lancet Commission report, we are basically talking of a transformative learning which is operational to a professional generation of trained health manpower. This has been, including, you may talk of consortia approach, but that consortia is basically between two likes, between two homogeneous. It is not between two heterogeneous. But when we are contemplating multidisciplinary approach in health profession, then the integration of Indian system of medicine with health, modern medicine and with all other professional integrations, perhaps the situation is a bit bizarre and it lacks clarity as of now. Imagine 1983, the government of India adopted the recommendations of Rais Ahmed Committee and University of Health Sciences came into operation. And therefore, the first University of Health Sciences arising out of the recommendations of Rais Ahmed Committee came up in the year 1986 in the then unified Andhra Pradesh with its headquarters at Vijayawada as NTR University of Health Sciences as it is known. So medical education and health professional education is now a specialized university. It's a university on its own. But when we are talking of multidisciplinary character, what will be the nature of things to happen perhaps turns out to be a very difficult question. And therefore, alignment on that particular thing is a matter of grave concern which is there in the minds of everybody. Like a recent notification on regulation where it said that a modern medicine intern will be required to be doing 7 weeks elective in Indian system of medicine, either in yoga or in naturopathy or in Siddha or in Ayurveda or in homeopathy or in various parts of Ayush. So here is a situation which is not very clear. What exactly is the model that we are conceiving of? So it poses a huge challenge. When you are talking of multidisciplinary character in health professional education, what is the extent of that multidisciplinary integration? I can understand behavioral sciences being a part, affective domain of the curriculum, but then working out a khichdi out of the two. Khichdi may be good for the purposes of a sick man, but khichdi will be in a position to generate a positive and pragmatic health. Turns out to be a very difficult proposition. And therefore, that is a huge policy challenge which is lurking large on the face of health professional education in a big way. Having said so, the other challenge which I'm wanting to put across is developmental funding for medical or health professional education in this country. Until and unless, like when you talk of University Grants Commission, under Section 12B, higher educational institutions are entitled for developmental grants. But such developmental grants are not open and available in any situation, in any form, in any type, to any cause of health professional education, which is a huge disparity. And therefore, the developmental profile on that particular context is impoverished. Number three, if you take into consideration privatization of education, that by itself, at one end, we talk of excess, increase the excess, so that the gross enrollment ratio in higher education is increased. Second, we talk it to be affordable. Now, the privatization of education, with the state subsidy waning and coming on to absolutely minuscule, the public funding absolutely getting shrunk, in that situation, privatization of education, which is cost-based, itself is a huge challenge in regard to affordability. Itself is a huge challenge in regard to it really catering to the cause of a poor man's meritorious child. So there is a huge social challenge which is there. And the third important aspect is awareness and keenness on the quality centricity and building the same. Even today, we do not have an accrediting mechanism independently for the purposes of health professional education. When the manual against which the health educational institutions were assessed by NAC, it was absolutely something which was not applicable to health sciences institutions. I had to take up that issue. Me and Dr. Tyagarajan took up that issue, and a manual is now ready. But then, why should we not have an independent health accrediting rating agency created for health professional education in this country? And therefore, these are the huge challenges which are there. Of course, Government of India is taking diligent steps, and there are quite many avenues which have been worked on it. But let them materialize on ground so that we are in a position to really see to it as to whether they are meaningfully beneficial or otherwise.
That was very well put, sir, and you directly went into the details, which is very good for us, like getting to know the details of working, what goes on, not just on the ground in the institute, but what goes on in the like behind the scenes for giving such education and making such policies. So coming to the next question, sir, how do you tend to establish a healthy relation and environment in the institute?
See, basically, please try to understand health environment I visualize on two important counts. Number one, health ambience within the university for the inmates themselves. So therefore, there has to be a standing system. And I'm not talking of only physical health. I am really enamored by the definition which has been put across by WHO for the word positive health, which defines practically the entire thing in a nutshell. It is not just an absence of infirmity or disease, but that positive state of health and well-being, which is in the domains of physical health, mental health, behavioral health, intellectual health, social health, and spiritual health as well. So number one, every higher educational institution has to cater to an ambience which is taking the cause of all these 6 dimensions of positive health of the learner, whereby the trainee will be able to take care of the training, and therefore he or she will be able to contribute to the cesspool of real meaningful contribution to the health of the nation, health of the country, and let me permit to say so, health of the globe and humanity as a whole. So it is on this twin count that health has to be a concept to be actualized in all its manifestation. Just health is for everybody. My responsibility at a university is first, primarily, positive and pragmatic health for that inmate of mine who is undergoing educational profile in the various educational units of the university, so that he is in a position to be in positive state of health, to be learning to cater to the cause of larger societal health as a contributing physician, surgeon, or whatever specialist he turns out to be.
Sir, do you think, like before COVID in India, we used to say health is just the physical health, but after the COVID, the people are more focusing on like not only the physical health, but also, as you said, mental health, the spiritual health as well, the different aspects of health which like make person to be a like positive in general for positive health.
See, look, limiting health.
COVID,
No, see, COVID has come as a huge impetus on that particular count is only thing which I will say. But if we contemplate that health is only physical health and it is only that which has to be emphasized, cannot be the real understanding of health. Health has got its 6 dimensions which have to be catered to, whether it is COVID times or it is non-COVID times, whether it is times of turmoil or it is times of tranquility. They have to be catered to. But yes, as you rightly say, COVID has jolted on that particular count. And any and every epidemic and pandemic of this magnitude, it not only erodes your physical health, but the nature of anxiety, the fear, the depression, the psychosomatic, imbalance that gets created out of this, and which is going to be there for a long time. It is not going to be a magic wand which will be taking care of up to this far and no further. No, the spillages will be heavy. And therefore, we are very focused in saying that mental health, intellectual health, spiritual health, environmental health, all these are required to be catered in an all-round manner. But more than that, the important lesson that we need to learn out of this COVID-19 pandemic is that overemphasis on curative health is not a correct step which the world was absolutely emphasizing on. The requirement of preventive health and requirement of promotive health, they now are underlined in a very huge manner. The whole focus on curative dimension has been shaken to its bones, that it is the preventive and promotive aspect and then curative aspect. And yet another important aspect which we have perhaps missed, but which will have to be taken care with a greater degree of emphasis, will be rehabilitative health. And that turns out to be equally a 4th dimension, which has to be a part of the total continuum. Therefore, the 2 messages which I'm wanting to put across is, number 1, health as a whole is to be catered, not in pieces and fragments as physical health and mental health. It is an integrated, holistic approach to catering to the positive health. It should be a venture of anyone and everyone. And just as it is this umbrella, within that umbrella, the gamut of catering should be preventive health, promotive health, curative health, and rehabilitative health. All the 4 domains have to be simultaneously catered. Therefore, these 2 holistic approaches will make a complete whole, WHOLE.
It is a very deep, sir, coming from you, like hearing from you this, like one of the greatest health experts I have been talking to. Hearing them on the TV is a different thing, but talking to them, like getting to talk to you and getting such insights, and from the person of your like level, so it is very great to hear that, to focus the future plans that you have for India and for the globe and humans in general, to focus on the positive health is such a great, like I think the thank you won't do that. Even thank you is such a small word for this. So, sir, last but not the least question, what are the suggestions you would like to give to the aspiring youth of the country?
See, I always say, and I mean it, I'm tempted to quote Dr. Abdul Kalam. I think the greatest role model that free India could have had before the youth. And what exactly he said? In his classical book, Wings on Fire, he makes a very beautiful commentary. Who is entitled to see the dreams? It is the young eyes which are entitled to see the dreams. But then, dreams are not those which are seen to be forgotten. Dreams are those which once seen need to be actualized, come what may. I think this makes an entire commentary. The dreamy eyes of the demographic dividend that we have in this country, they have to be converted into precious human resource. And that's exactly the key for the Indian supremacy for all times to come. If world says 21st century belongs to India in the same way as 20th century belonged to United States of America and 19th century belonged to the United Kingdom, 21st century belongs to India, not because of the economic or military power of India, but because of the youth power of India, the demographic dividends that we have at this juncture. And therefore, my message to youth is only one. Napoleon Hill says, if you want to achieve big, you will have to conceive big. Therefore, the first step is conceive big, believe big, you shall achieve big. If you conceive small, you will believe little and you will achieve minuscule. Therefore, my young children, conceive big, believe big, and achieve big. I would just conclude with a small parable, which as a young child, 1968, I had heard from a very legendary figure, late Datta Dharmadikar. He had come to our school as a chief guest at our annual social gathering. And he made a very beautiful commentary, which I still carry core on my heart. He said, life is a sentence. Dear children, punctuate it. You need to punctuate your life. And the punctuations could be many. What if you punctuate it as a comma? It will be a tragedy. What you complete it with a full stop? He said, fools stop at the full stop. What it gets punctuated with a question mark? It will be absolutely a tragic story. And God forbid, if it gets punctuated as an exclamation mark, you have lost the entire fortune of life. Then what it ought to be? And he said, punctuate your life in such a way that you don't have to punctuate. People punctuate it in inverted comma. That is what the real purpose the youth need to espouse. Punctuate your life in such a way. Conceive so huge, believe so gigantic, achieve so intangible that you will be quoted only in the inverted comma. You are legitimately entitled to it because every youth is blended with a uniqueness. He or she has to fathom it, invent it, discover it, and innovate for himself or herself. Your entitlement are 5 I's. I for information, I for imagination, I for integration, I for intuition, resultant I is for innovation. I dedicate these 5 I's in the lap of every young ignited mind to say, dear children, have largest of information that you can have. Ensure that this imagination paces with this information, paces with your imagination. Be a blessed intuition. Learn the process of integration and you will be claiming innovation at every step of life. That innovation will make India glow, glitter in the eyes of the world, and my young children will be the cause of that eternity in the lap and in the name of Mother Bharati, and that perhaps shall be the greatest salutation, ensuring that 21st century shall belong to India by virtue of its youth brigade and youth power. That's all from my side.
Thank you very much, sir, for such answers. And I don't think anyone with the experience of about 40 years can give us the details that you have given us in such a span of like 30 to 40 minutes. Thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure. God bless you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm obliged.